Good evening, everybody. We'll be talking about best practices and lessons learned in accelerating organization productivity and growth. We have an excellent panel here today and look forward to having all of you present your views. We will first have a round of thoughts being shared by our leaders present here. So we can begin with you, sir, Bijender. What are your views around the lessons or best practices that spur productivity in organizations?
Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah.
So thank you very much for this question. I mean, this question is very close to my heart, and I'm sure that this question will be very close to many of your business leaders, close to your heart. So there is no, one size fit, I would say framework or standard practices which fits to every business, It varies industry to industry, in fact, yeah. So I represent pharma industry. So for me, the best practices which can, help me to, accelerate my drug discovery, clinical trials, this research and development, that matters more, So it varies industry to industry, but there is a, standard, practices what needs to be followed while considering that if you talk about IT used to be a business enabler earlier, but now it has taken a center, focal point. So it's a business, it's driving your business. So considering all those factors, we need to, make our strategy where IT should be well integrated with your business roadmap, and that will give you a good output when you talk about, how you can have better productivity and growth. So that's my submission to you.
Excellent, thank you. Melwyn?
Yeah, so for me, the idea is to have a balanced work-life sort of a thing. So anything which gives you mental happiness as well as, motivates you, challenges you, is something which is very apt for me to have in an organization. So that will also keep your employees engaged and motivated to do better more. So for me, to have a balanced life is something very, very important. When we talk about mental happiness, mental health, not only about physical health, but these things do matter. And work from home was one of these examples or scenarios where we could see, you must have heard the productivity going for per employees to maybe double to triple the point. So for me, that is one of the points to have, apart from the strategies and all those things, business requirements. I think so on psychological part, that is very, very important for us.
Excellent. That's an excellent nuance that you brought out, right? At the end of the day, we are all humans, right? And that balance needs to be there in order to spur productivity. Yeah. Sanjay.
So in my view, I look after the best practices from the business perspective, though I am from the security, but being into the wealth management industry, market time is really crucial for us. So at that point of time, I look after the business that in any case, whatever the best practices I have to deploy to run my business continuous, without any interruption. That is what I look after. And about the lesson learned, there will be a lot of lesson learned during the operations, which we can discuss during our sessions going on, and will include more inputs and insights by other members as well. Thank you.
All right, Sanjay. Thank you. Yeah, Satish.
I think I'm Satish. So if I talk about the productivity, the important thing is availability was one of the biggest advantage which digitalization has given us. Okay, but as Melwyn rightly said, balancing between work and life is becoming critical, but unfortunately we are not unable to match that area. Okay, but I think productivity will only increase when you are peace of mind, and that is what I feel like.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Lalit.
Yeah.
In my view, productivity and best practices there are two ways. One is a professional and one is a personal. Personal, whenever employee is working with you and whatever advantage or comfortability you are providing, how encouraging them you to give more output. That is the one factor. And on professional side, how you are minimizing manual efforts or burden of employee to deliver more in case of technology side. So these are the two areas I think which are the need to focus on to get the best practice and about productivity.
Okay, thank you, Lalit. Sanjay, maybe I'll come to you, right? Since you mentioned you'd like to talk a little about digitalization and data, right? Can you tell us or share with our audience how is this data, right, or the ability to convert this data into actionable results that drive productivity, right? What do you think what do you think about the data that is available to you for this cause or purpose?
Okay, so data, currently I will take one example. Initially, we work out from the security's perimeter. So everything what we secure is the perimeter security. Okay, because we are very much bound to our perimeter, and we are well aware of where is all my data is affair. But since now we have been moved into the cloud, okay, so I will say now my perimeter has been increased. And now there is, instead of I will use the perimeter security, I will say my security is there, where is my data is. So that is one from the security perspective on the data. At the same time, yes, data enhance the user experience. I will take one very foolish sample or example. We have a portal of our organization where we have put up some ad from the sales team. One of the customer called us and says that on your portal, they are getting the pawns related ad. And everyone has got shocked how the pawn related ad has been enhanced on company's portal. After lots of investigations and everything, we found that customer itself is searching for pawn-related videos, and it gets elaborated link through the AI, and wherever, like not only on our portal, but wherever he has searched in the Google or on any other website, he has got advertised link of that pawns. So now you can consider like wherever you are searching, where your data is going on. Okay. So as in previous discussions, we have understand about ChatGPT. You just say about anything, you will get in hand, everything. But not only with the ChatGPT, but before that also we have lots of things, lots of other AI tools available in the market. And and also at the same time, even now, the technology is that level where technology will correct you. So this is not your level. This is not for you. You are missing these things. You have done this thing previously at this point of time. So like all these things now easily available in the market, in the data. So I will say somewhere, yes, it's enhancing the user experience, but at the same point of time, we have to understand about the security as well, how we can secure this data.
Okay. So you mentioned about the user's experience, right? And how that is tied with basically what they themselves do, right? Their own digital footprint, right? So thanks for bringing up that point. So I'll maybe come to Lalit, right? What are your views around user experience, right? Or customer experience, right? In this paradigm of productivity?
Yeah. See, customer experience is one of the key driver for any sales-driven or customer-centric business. Where most important thing, whatever technology you are implementing, however budget you are investing, most important thing whether you are getting customer experience in return or not. Because just investing in technology will not increase the customer experience. This is the one factor I think all technology leader will be knowing. And the other thing is when you collect data from any digital technology using, then you process data, then you find out the insight, then how you are giving back to the customer. This is, I think, best way to increase the customer experience. You can understand their expectation, and you can plan for any upcoming or future thing that today customer is expectation, tomorrow expectation, maybe future what he is expecting based on the technology what we are using. I think this is the thing.
Okay. Fine. So customer.
Just want to add.
Yeah, please do, Satish.
I think UX UI walkthrough is a new trend which is coming in the industry. So you create your screens
Right.
and then let somebody as a user walk through it, and how easy it is to manage is getting a new trend, and that improves the feel of the users, and then that helps you to attract more customers on the portal. So to make digitalization successful, you need to have customers. And
Right.
to get more customers, you need to have that friendly interface which helps you to get the things done easily.
Right, so things like design thinking,
Yeah, design.
right, and then validating that design thinking with maybe a pilot or a beta or alpha, right, that sort of plays well, is what you're saying. Okay, so coming to you, Bijender, right, so given all of these facets, right, what do you think are the important aspects when it comes to successful digital transformations?
So this digital transformation has been a big, buzzword. I would say, everyone talks about digital transformation, and unfortunately, more than 70% digital transformation projects gets failed because of limited understanding from the business side. Yeah. So for any digital transformation, first you need to understand three basic things. Why you need to have digital transformation? That is first thing. What you need to transform, whether you need to transform your processes, you need to transform your domain, your business, or you are looking for some cultural transformation. So that clarity should be there. And then when you want to transform, and again I will take pharma example. So one of the leading international pharma company, I would not name that company, they started their digital transformation journey 10 years back. And they started to leverage on AI ML very heavily. They gathered all data and they started to train their data, because when you leverage on AI ML, you need to train your data. That without training your data, you will not get what output you are expecting. Yeah. And in pharma, any drug discovery cycle, it stands somewhere between 7 to 10 years. Yeah. When this pandemic came 3 years back, that pharma company who had started, journey 10 years back, they again started to use AI ML because they had trained data, and they started to use that trained data in drug discovery. And within 8 months of time, they came with their vaccine. So that's a classical example of leveraging on technology. When again it varies industry to industry. Before during this pandemic, I came back to India. I was in Hong Kong and I worked with the Alibaba group as a group CISO. And I remember one fine day, head of HR, she came to me and she said, "Hey Bijender, everyone is talking about digital transformation. I need to transform something." So I said, "Ma'am, what you want to transform?" And she had, very little understanding of transformation. She said, "I just want to transform something because my other peers are doing that and they are asking me what you are transforming." Yeah. So I said, "Okay, let's discuss this point." Then I just asked very simple question: what are your pain areas where you want to do some sort of automation or you want to transform your process? And she said that advertising open positions till onboarding, it takes normally 60 to 65 days. And she wanted to minimize the timeline. So when she used to post that open positions till onboarding, almost 8 to 10 weeks, she wanted to minimize that. And we did process automation, and because of that process automation, she could do the job posting till onboarding. It used to take normally 18 to 20 days. So that's the beauty of automation when you use it properly. Right. Yeah. So that's my submission or question.
Excellent. So maybe I could just go to the audience, right, in order to involve you in this conversation, right? As we have our panelists sharing their views on digital transformation, is there anyone in the audience who would like to share their thoughts, maybe an example or two about how they have accomplished transformation in their organizations? Anybody? All right. Yeah, Prakash. Pawan, did you also want to?
All right, so I joined this startup company during COVID, and we are into healthcare industry and into services. We do medical transcriptions for doctors and providers in the US. So I started this team from scratch, and we built the web platforms and the mobile app platforms. Now it's not easy because you have to hire skill sets, you have to groom them, you have to build the infrastructure. There are a lot of dependencies that go along with it. But that was a need of the hour. And after 2.5 years today, we are looking at the disruptions of AI that's happened in the industry. There's ChatGPT, there's Bard, there's generative AI, so many things going on. So we are not constrained by any technology today as an organization. There's a plethora of technologies that we work on. So that's the digital transformation journey we have had on the technology side. And we've also, we are a SOC 2 compliant and a HIPAA HITRUST compliant. So we have also included a lot of process controls because COVID taught us how to work from home and how to manage and not micromanage the employees based on data, right? We have the data in front of us. A person can lie, but the data is not going to lie. So these are two areas wherein we groomed our employees across different technologies, and we use a lot of tools to automate our software development lifecycle processes and to measure productivity. Thank you.
Thanks, Prakash. Pawan, here in front.
Hello, good afternoon. Myself, Pawan Goyal, and I've been working in risk analytics primarily in BFSI. Last, I was in JP Morgan. So, while working in the risk analytics, the one challenge which most of my credit officers were facing that every credit officer across the globe has like 50 to 100 corporate client into their portfolio, and you never know what kind of news comes out in the market, and you need to be aware about that news, which can have both positive and negative impact. Just take an example of Adani, for example. So now, as a credit officer, having the track of those 50 to 100 clients and what kind of news is coming about them, in what kind of platform, could be from Bloomberg, Reuters to even like Reddits and all kind of social media platform, it becomes really, really difficult. And these credit officers are not tech savvy, right? They can't build those things. So what we thought that, okay, let's take this pain area and how do we save the time for these credit officers. So we build the platform where we're looking into all data sources for these kind of news sources, both from market as well as from the social media, and then tracking the portfolio of the client, okay, which client is being mentioned anywhere, and then using the text analytics to identify whether this kind of information is going to be a positive green signal or a red signal. So at least at the end of the day, the output will be that whenever a company of a credit officer is mentioned anywhere, it will look into the information, identify, and give the notification to the credit officer that there is a green or red signal about your company in this platform, so that the credit officer can go and check it rather than simply keep tracking the news about all and each company. So that's where a lot of time is saved for the credit officers across the globe, and a lot of productivity was added.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that example. Is there anybody else? Otherwise, we'll continue.
Yeah, this is Jagrup Singh. I'm part of Doric Infra. We are a construction company. So recently we set one center of excellence for construction. So you must have not heard of anything about construction much in digital transformation, because this is the sector which is, in the last in terms of digital transformation. So we set up few processes. We put a roadmap, a 3-year roadmap, a vision 2030 around digitals. So one of the biggest pain area are converting drawings to quantity and doing a rate analysis for bidding. So there we use some best practices and tools like Candy, which is Germany-based software, which is converting from drawings to quantity, so that we can have right rate analysis and we can submit the right bid at a price point. Okay. So, and then integrating that to some of the core ERPs like Oracles and putting the whole ecosystem around, leveraging the data. So we are in process of doing that. Okay. So that's about the use case.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. So we'll continue where we last left. And there are many voices that we heard around automation, right? So Melwyn, coming to you, right? You mentioned that there are back office processes, right, that were automable, and you've done something about that. Why don't you share your experience with that?
Yeah, so basically we are mostly into NBFC sort of a category. We are selling loans or providing loans to our customers. So one of the important processes which we thought wherein we could utilize the skill sets of AI and ML was in our back office, like whenever there is a new loan that has been given to the customer, the follow-ups and all those things. That was one area which we wanted to automate in a big way. So we integrated that with our cloud platform, and then we had we went with the chatbot sort of a situation also, wherein the normal executive, calling the customer would have whatever time he would have taken was, shortened by the chatbots. The chatbots used to directly take the data from the system, dial it to them, give the reminders to the customers to pay the EMIs, or reminders that your check has been bounced, or all those sort of things, which a normal executive sitting in the office would be doing it. So that was one part which we directly automated in a very much way. And we spent more time. We had some happy customers also, wherein customers were also satisfied, saying, okay, we got the timely intimation to pay the EMIs and all those things like. So one area which we are still working on it is that part, and the other areas which we now plan to do is to more sort of go into the sales also. Like like what technology now Facebook or a Flipkart is using based on the customer experience, something which we try to tap on, but it's still in the nascent stage. There are plenty of things and plenty of nerves which the customer is trying to tap on. We are trying to tap on those things, but still it's a nascent stage. But one thing which we did was with the customer back office.
Okay, excellent. Satish, you also have had experiences with automation, right? Would you like to share something on those lines?
Banking reconciliation was one of the most clerical work which was got converted into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you go about doing that? And also maybe for all of us, right, if you could share, what is the measures of success that you track, right, for any kind of transformation or automation that you accomplish?
See, the measure of success, I think, normally, first thing is, I think, everybody does the transformation. But to find the success, I think making people aware that we are doing this activity, getting people involved into the process is one of the major success when we do it. Keep people motivating that you need to learn. Because a clerical to automated work is a tough job. I think normally it happens that you we'll take a very simple example, change management tool. Normally it is normally done manually. Okay, it moves from a manual process to an automated process where the mail will go to the individual user. Okay, now you will suddenly realize that these people's the approval getting delayed. Okay, so you need to tell people that I think now the environment has changed.
Right.
You need to change from your manual mode to the automated mode, and you need to start working on it.
Right. So I guess it requires a level of stakeholder engagement.
Correct.
Right.
I think it has to be top to bottom kind of push which is required.
Okay, all right. Is there anybody else who would like to share their thoughts on the metrics that you could use to?
So I'm just referring to what he said recently. Any technology adoption will have a lot of reluctance because no one wants to come out from that, comfort zone. And we have seen that during my previous assignment, we were implementing SAP. People, they used, other ERP tools like Tally and other, B1 and all. When we started to deploy, different modules in different phases, we had a lot of challenges. And one thing really helped us when we convinced them that how this implementation is going to help them. We had some, low level of reluctance. But initially, when we started discussing that we are implementing SAP, I'm just giving one example of SAP. Any new technology adoption, when you initiate, you will have to be ready, to face reluctance. That's the human psychology, in fact, So
there's
and that's everywhere.
Resistance to change.
So
Yes.
one of the good ways, I think I keep feeling that you make it a part of KRA initially for them. Okay, so it may not be it may be one of the push or maybe the way you improve the productivity.
Right, something to motivate people to come on board.
To come on board, and then I think slowly you withdraw that facility so that
the process continues.
Then you'll get used to that environment.
Excellent. One of the points that we mentioned, and we are living in the age of data, right? How do you ensure that data security is also an aspect that is considered with due importance, right, in digital transformation? Maybe Melwyn or Sanjay, if you'd like to take that.
Okay, so again, like data security, as I've given the previous example about how whenever like we moved into the modernization technology, okay, it's not only about talking about the changing the technology. We have to look the other aspects about the security, and security is not only from specific technology but at enterprise level, because whichever the technology you are working upon, it will go through the enterprise data. Okay, so that is what we have to look after about the enterprise security. Like that approach we have to take whenever we work upon the modernizing the technology. One example here I will take about how we have to protect the data is nothing but when it's kind of like we have a very good player of the team of the football player, okay, but we do not practice, okay, until and unless we do not have any cohesive plan about how we will going to win, and we are not aware about the strength and the weakness in the team, we will not going to win the match, irrespective of the who is the opposition of the party, opposition team. Similar way, whenever we are working upon the data and the security, being an insider, we have to very much aware about all our weak points and the loose points where the data can be leakaged. Okay, and accordingly then we have to work upon them, including the new technologies, including AI, ML, and that's what we have to take care about.
Okay.
So just to add on what he said rightly,
Please.
so the first thing that you should have visibility of your data. If you don't have visibility of your data, now moving in cloud era, it would be very difficult to manage and protect the data. So first thing is that you should have visibility of your data, where your data, what are the controls you have, who has what level of controls, who can access your data from inside or outside. And third point is continuous monitoring, because normally what happens, in IT, we assign some controls and then just we forget it, We don't have time to, review it periodically. So continuous monitoring is very important when your data is, out of your premises. So data control, data visibility, and continuous monitoring. These 3 points I would like to add on top of what he said rightly.
All right. So I remember an incident that happened with Pinterest once, right? So Pinterest sent out congratulatory emails around wedding anniversaries to people, but those people were singles, right? So how does one address such issues, right? While that might not be data security, right, but that's probably related to data integrity, right, and how data is ingested correctly, right? So Melwyn or anybody else, do you have some thoughts around that? How do you ensure that data integrity is maintained?
So actually I'll just add what Bijender said, integrity is the key part of the data. If the integrity is not available in the data, it's useless. You massage the data, any sort of a thing, you'll get garbage out of it. So integrity is the fundamental part of data. So to have the integrity in place, you need to have some validations, checksums, whether this checksums or validations, whatever the data is having is correct or no. So to have that, you need to have certain controls also. What Bijender was saying is absolutely right. Now the data is not only residing in the perimeter itself, it has moved beyond the perimeters. Most probably you have it when you are working from home, you are having it in the cloud, you are having the parameters completely changed as of now. So controls is one of the important things when it comes to securing your data. So once you have to protect the integrity, the controls have to be in place. That only the authorized guys who are handling the data is using the data, is accessing the data. Only after his authentication he is using the data. So one of the important key things which I would say is the zero trust, which everybody is talking about. So maybe somewhere down the line it's not anymore a buzzword, it's a practicality, a reality in this field now. So zero trust is something you are not allowing the data to trust nobody. Whoever wants to handle the data, let him authenticate, let him verify, and then only he will be able to access the data. So one thing is, this is the important thing which I feel will protect the integrity of the data.
Excellent. Um, please.
I think the data has to be auditable also.
Absolutely.
So the very, very important. So tomorrow, if any mishap takes place, I think we should be able to prove that what went wrong, and then we should be able to justify the things. I think that is very key for us.
Right, as well as the steps taken to massage that data, right? That sequence of steps should be auditable. True. So we've spoken about all of these technical aspects, right? Let's maybe briefly shift gears on to the human aspects, right? And we were discussing outside, right, about engagement, right? Employee engagement, right? So what role do you think that plays in driving productivity, right? So we've seen the great resignation, right? And I'm pretty sure during COVID, the great resignation has hit most organizations, right? So how does one constantly engage and drive engagement that would translate into productivity in due course? Maybe Lalit, if you'd like to share.
So there are 2-3 facts. Some of the employees, exceptional case, want to shift just get the 10%, 20%, 30% every 6 months, 1 year, 2 year. Other employees who are ready to take challenge but not getting opportunities. Maybe they will wait for 6 months, 1 year, not getting exposure, then they will decide to take some bigger opportunity.
Okay.
So at employee engagement is one of the key challenge for every organization to provide them a future opportunity to grow along with the business and professionally both sides. I think this is the irrespective of the activity, what HR or other from outsourced entity or this is another thing. But these are the key or base of the things.
Excellent, excellent. Satish, you are saying?
Yeah, I think what I feel is, okay, I think everybody is growing vertically. Okay, I always feel that one of the motivations is we need to find the strengths of the team, and then we can help them to grow horizontally also. Let them take the additional responsibilities in the horizontal scale, which will actually motivate. Sometimes we take it as a passion, and that passion becomes we get a good manager during that process.
Brilliant point. Thanks for bringing that up.
So, in my previous organizations, what I have done, for each and every team member, I have given some kind of like a portfolio. So like previously I was part of a GRC team. So for one of the entity, I said, you manage this complete entity. I don't know about whatever their findings are, what is the number of auditors you have completed. You will be take whole and sole responsibility.
Take ownership.
So when we give such responsibility and the ownership, at that point of time, people feel a bit privileged. And second, it will not have that much of time to look after the change for the outside. So they will get engaged.
If you can't convince them, confuse them.
So they will be like get
keep them engaged.
Like
engaged yeah.
Okay,
that's another engagement strategy. Sure.
So that
excellent.
So for me, like I already told you, like a balanced work life is something which everybody wants. Yeah. Peace of mind and peace of good health is something which everybody wants. So I think so employees today are more sort of oriented. Like when we started a career 10-20 years back, the psychology was not the same thing. We just wanted to have work or something like that. But today's generation, today's youth are more reclined to having a very balanced sort of a life, wherein they can use their skill sets, their talents for other purpose also. Maybe they do a moonlighting once in a blue moon, I don't know, like I mean, for extra bucks, that's fine. But they have the talent, so why not use it? So that's what the ideal scenario, the situation and the psychology is all about, and which I feel is not bad, because ultimately you are using your resource to something which is advantage for yourself as well as to the other organizations also. So the feeling I feel is that you have to have the today's generation is trying to have a balanced life, work balanced life.
Yeah, so work life and life balance is very important, and it plays very crucial role when you talk about employee productivity or retention of your. I mean, in IT we have been facing this challenge. Team retention has been a big challenge, and for me, I have been managing some sort of hybrid and complex team, So when I was in Hong Kong, I had a team, from 18 nationalities, from Africa, Middle East, Europe and all. So one thing I have seen that when you trust your team, you build a trust relationship with your team, among team members, and they realize that you think about them, you probably provide some sort of knowledge transfer, some sort of, training, certifications, and somewhere you need to give some sort of personal touch to that, relationship with your team members. And once they have that and they have freedom to work, and one more thing is very important, to have a right placement at right place. So fitment is very important. If you have some resources in infrastructure team and he is more interested or she is more interested in security, you will not get that productivity. So right fitment is very important, which you need to, as a business leader, we need to understand and identify that.
Excellent. I think that's a good note to end our panel discussion on. We've had a discussion around what are the different hard as well as nuanced skills and opportunities available to us to drive productivity. We've spoken about maybe even controversial topics like moonlighting, which I am happy that you're fine with. So that there's also quiet quitting and many other things that buzzwords that we've come across, right? But that's the challenge and the opportunity available to us in today's day and age, and it's for us to make the best use of. So with that, thank you very much to my panel over here. I hope you've had the opportunity to glean insights. May I open it up for questions, if any, from the audience?
Do we have any questions for the panel? Everybody wants to go home.
All right.
Thank you.
I just want to make a remark with what Mr. Satish Mahajan said, that the horizontal growth, that is a good point.
Right, so just to add to that, right, so we've known of the T-shaped person, right, T-shaped, right, there's one depth and you have a breadth across skills, right. Maybe you would want to think of it as a pie-shaped person. You've seen the pie symbol? Yeah, so you have two depths, right, and then breadth across. So, yeah, possibly.
I think that will save the organizational manpower also.
Yeah, excellent. That's excellent.
And you can see nowadays, I think people work with a dual responsibility in
Right.
the organization.
True, true.
I think unfortunately IT people never come out of technology. So you have to come out of the technology part of it.
That's very true.